Hi there. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And you're probably wondering where are the patch notes for the Black Bolt Morgan Le Fay Halloween update. Well, I'll tell you. This is Alex from the past talking to you in the future. And I'm in Croatia. And right now I'm on a Game of Thrones tour. And let me tell you, it is amazing. It's fantastic. Valar Morghulis and of course Valar Dohaeris. Now, what I'm showing you right here is a rare piece of content called Shadowlands. And you may be familiar with it if you haven't been living under a rock in MFF for the past 6 years. And although it's been a neglected game mode for a long time, it does pose a very interesting perspective for me as a content creator, because rather than make a video flexing my account for how easily I can do the first 35 stages with these dumpster tier characters like Lash and Sin, and on the other hand, rather than doing a free-to-play, very low, new player thing, I get to target the rare mid-level. I'm going into the donut and actually targeting the jelly nestled in the middle. I'm talking about intermediate level players. Players who are not new enough that they're just throwing their whole roster at Shadowland, but they're also not jaded veterans like me who are tired of Shadowland and who only do it for cosmic energy once a month. I'm talking about those players who have built up enough of their roster where they're starting to look and they're like, you know what? I think I can make it to stage 135. And why is that important, you might be asking? Well, of course, the first time Shadowland rewards. If you got on the forums and you didn't suffer irreparable brain damage, you saw the hashtag reset Shadowlands. And the reason why that is such a popular hashtag among the downtrodden is because the first time rewards beyond stage 35 for every 5 stages, 40, 45, 50, etc., are amazing. Mega tier 2 ticket, mega mythic uniform ticket, crazy 75 CCF, which at the time was really good. And of course, a CTP selector. That is the big kahuna. That is the white whale of the mid-level player. That is one of the top achievements that I think a lot of players are still going for in 2022 in Marvel Future Fight, is building up their roster so that they can take 135 different characters and push them to the stage 135 to get that CTP selector. And it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge. Don't get me wrong. It's massive. And I congratulate all of you watching who have already done it. And for all of you who haven't done it, start taking notes, because videos like this show you how far you can push your roster. And what I want to key in on, this is pre-recorded by the way, is that this is autoplay. Now, you're wondering, how do you get autoplay in Shadowland? It's a paid thing. It's a 2-week subscription. It's the Shield Support Pack. Every 2 weeks, you refresh it if you want, and it gives you a bunch of perks. One of those perks is Autoplay Plus in Shadowland. But what I want to do, and why I did it on autoplay specifically, rather than playing it manually, is to point out that you can actually go further with less. Because if this is how good the characters are with 25% peers, and on autoplay, they'll be even better if you just manually play them. If you manually play them and you hit your damage proc. Most of these characters you're seeing don't even have a damage proc. So this basically opens up the possibilities. So you could, for example, take an account that has 10% pierce instead of 25, like me, has much less damage, attack damage on their cards, but has builds on these characters that are similar, possibly a little bit better. But if you play the character manually, they can absolutely crush these stages. So you can then use these lesser characters that you've built up because they were epic quest requirements, or because you just had like thousands of spare bios, you were just bored one weekend, you did it as a joke, they're your favorite character or your favorite actor as a C-list actor from the MCU or whatever. They're not, they're not the Hollywood characters of Marvel Future Fight. I'm not talking about Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch here. We're talking about the Fandrels and the Hogans, the ugly ones that don't get picked first and always get picked last for dodgeball. You can actually use these characters, and you use them so that you can climb to stage 135. So I'm really happy to be able to share this with you guys. Obviously, Shadowland is in dire need of a massive rework and revamp, and I think that it is due for one, and I really strongly encourage the devs to do so. And that is why I wanted to and have wanted to make a Shadowland video for a long time, and I'll try to make a few more just to bring it to the attention of the devs like we did with other game modes like ABX and stuff in order to get it reworked and revamped in GBR as well. But I really think that Shadowland has the opportunity to still you know, kindle that flame of building your whole roster and using your whole roster. Again, right now I understand if you've been playing this game for long enough, Shadowland has definitely gotten boring, for sure. And that's part of the reason why this video is sped up to 1.8 times, 180% speed. Because I know if I play this at 100% speed, even with my soothing voice, you would have clicked off the video by now. And for those of you who have clicked off the video, I curse you. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, we know Shadowland by now, if you're familiar with it anyways, if you're not a new player. So it's high time that they refresh it and revamp it the way that they did to ABX a couple of years ago, and now with ABL, and also what they did for Dormammu GBR. And I think it's in the cards. I think in the next year or two, we will see a big revamp for Shadowland, but it's definitely something you can still take advantage of. And by the way, even if you don't want to go to stage 135, or even if you went to stage 135 a long time ago, and since then you've given up and you just don't touch Shadowland, I highly recommend playing through the first 35 stages every single week. I've left in, I could have edited them out, but I left in all of the short blips, the 3 or 4 second blips at the end of each stage where it shows the rewards. The rewards are actually pretty good. You get about 3 to 4 million gold, you get a bunch of bio selectors, you get a bunch of ISO, and you get a bunch of other things as well. Not as important, man. You get a 4, 5, and 6 star, maybe 6 star rank up ticket, not rank up ticket, comic card, but or you know, custom gear, which is okay. But mostly, I would say do it for the gold and the ISO, and actually you get quite a bit of black antimatter or chaos north stones if you target farm that. You can get a few hundred, close to 500, I think, of it. If you go all the way to 35, maybe a little bit less than 500, but still, it is quite nice. And you also get those chests at the end, which can have varying from mediocre to decent rewards. But yeah, Shadowland still is the only game mode where you're going to see characters like Ulysses, like me, using characters like Ulysses Claw and Lash and Lincoln Campbell. It's one of the only game modes where you can use your entire roster, and it's not PvP. And it's also a game mode where, and I've pointed this out before, seeing the characters is really nice, and being able to see the totality of their animations, because unlike other game modes where you're just awash with all of these different animations and effects and VFX that just, you know, cover the screen, it's like it's snowing. Here you can see everything very clearly, and I have a fond appreciation for this game, so I'm a bit more of a simp than your average player, but it just looks cool, man. To me, it just looks cool. And even old characters with outdated animations by today's standards, like Maximus, looks cool. That shield bubble looks pretty sick. So yeah, I wanted to make this video. I wanted to highlight that 135 climb and how difficult it can be for mid-level accounts, and so highlighting specific stages, like using like waiting to use Inferno and Sister Grimm and Singularity. All three of those I think are quite underrated. This was probably one of the most difficult stages, to give you guys a bit of stage commentary. It looked very easy there, but that was like my 7th attempt to do the stage. Hellstorm really is very hit or miss if you play him on auto. If you play him manually, of course, you just spam 5 and 4 and the iframe on 1. But without that, he can be very bad. But Singularity here, you can see on auto, does such a wonderful job of utilizing her rotation. She's like Agent Venom in PvP, and she's the literal opposite of Gore, where Gore struggles to use his full skill rotation. Look at Singularity. She was coded like a god. She literally goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's crazy how good she can be just because of that. So that also gives you a tip for those of you who want to play Shadowland on auto. These characters are quite consistent. Ironheart, Inferno, Kid Kaiju, Singularity, Sister Grimm. Some characters are really bad on auto, even stronger characters like tier 3s and stuff at higher levels. Like Sharon Rogers is a pretty good example of a character who actually struggles a lot on auto because she opens with 5, takes a bunch of damage, then she does 3 later when it's not really necessary. Another surprise character, Modoc, is actually pretty good. Again, 25% pierce definitely helps. But he kind of pops off, dude. He runs this stage, and given how much time is left, I certainly think he could do a higher stage. So for those of you who want to push even higher than 135, you can see some of these clips, and you can use them as a guide to calculate if Alex was able to do stage 26 in 30 seconds with Modoc, or 45 seconds, Modoc could probably do like stage 40? Maybe stage 50 if you have similar cards, and then if even higher if you give him an offensive build, which Again, I don't think mine has a proc even. Craven is another shocker here on stage 27. This is a difficult stage to autoplay. Very difficult. And I was manually playing him for a long time on that stage because he would die in the first phase to Dormammu's giant floating head. But he actually does really well. Here, I think Yondu could have been used on a higher stage, but I just struggle to find stages for speed types unless you just get lucky with refreshes. Speed type heroes tend to be the least used of all the types in Shadowland. For those of you wondering, blast types are the most used, and then villains, and then universals, and then it's a toss-up for the bottom between speed and combat. So there's really very few stages for speed types and for combat types. And blast, there's just so many stages for blast types, so many stages for villains, and a ton of stages for universals as well. And then the super tricky universal villain stage. That's the last time you're going to see Shuri being used on stage 29 because Wakanda Forever is going to give her an upgrade in a big way. This stage, if you notice, I'm pressing the buttons. This is the only stage I didn't auto. I'm sorry, I lied to you. I did like 10 cuts, 10 takes, and I just was getting really lucky. Goliath can auto that stage, asterisk on can, but it is difficult, and it does take some pretty miraculous RNG. Here, of course, any of the arachnids should work pretty well for you. Obviously, the paywall one is the most difficult, but Arachnite works as well, although he is Heroic Quest. Obviously, Spider-Man works, Scarlet Spider works, and then even like Spider-Gwen would probably work. I don't know if she can be a villain, though. Here, I would want to use someone weaker, but you really don't have very many options, so you have to pop off with someone like, you know, Sunbird or Angela Transcendent or something like that. So usually this stage ends up being over a lot faster. Like, there isn't a weaker character that you could use that also has the flame ability. I think one of the most creative stages they've ever made, the Phoenix Force stage. I really like this. I want to see more stages based on tags, based on abilities. And I love using Kid Omega for his animations. And then round out the list with Sandman. He took like 3 minutes to do that before the Transcendence, and now he blitzes the stage in 6 seconds. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this Shadowland speedrun. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the patch notes. Take care.